And at the time when I was eating the carbs, I thought they were an advantage. That was just kind of the mindset I had. And the literature I've been reading was just kind of drilled into you for powerlifting, particularly, in order to get the calories, it was a lot easier to carb up. It's pretty hard to eat 6,000 calories a steak. But yeah, now that I've had a real good run with carnivore, I would say the carbs were hindering me. It bloated me, made me lethargic. My sleep quality was less. My mood was less. I think the intensity I get from steak and carnivore is an advantage.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We've got today with us Jason, I believe, who's going to chat with us about some stuff he's up to. So, Jason.
Morning. How's it going today?
Hey, it's going well. Good to see you. Where are you located?
I'm up in Rocky Mountain House, Alberta, Canada. Little town nestled in the Rocky Mountains.
Okay, very nice. Is that picture behind you from that area or no?
Yeah, you bet. It's just about an hour west of where I live.
Okay, nice. Is that up near like Banff or something like that? It looks kind of Lake Louise-ish or something,
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's Abraham Lake. It's a man-made lake that's dammed up there, just out west, kind of out towards Banff area. Yep, not too far away.
Nice. Well, I've gotten as far as Canmore. I've never been up to Banff, and it's a beautiful, beautiful area. So, well, welcome.
Canmore's really nice too.
Yeah, welcome and thanks for being here. So, I understand you do a little bit of weightlifting, so I've got a little experience with that. But so, I guess just tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background, and we can get into what you're up to.
Yeah, I guess I'll just kind of start back at the beginning. I guess I grew up on the east coast of Canada, Cape Breton Island. During the 80s and 90s, typical childhood, very active. Everybody outside, playing sports has always been sports and athletics has always been a big part of my life. Got into martial arts and boxing in kind of my early teens, and didn't find my first weight room until I was probably about 17 in high school. And I just had a gym teacher that was really into it, and he kind of set me on that path, and really took a liking to it. And I really had a natural ability for lifting weights and moving heavy weight in particular. It didn't take me long to get up to some 80 to 90 pound dumbbells on the incline bench. At that time, I didn't know anything about powerlifting. I was just doing more of a bodybuilding split. Yeah, then after high school, I went to university, and things got busy working a full-time job and full-time school load. Kind of fell off the exercise train, got out of shape, as you'd imagine, and but I still carried a lot of that bulk around that I gained in high school. So right around after I had my first daughter, when I was 24, 25, I decided to get back into the gym, just starting with the bodybuilding split. And this time I took more of a academic approach. Read a lot of books and articles and nutrition. So, at that time, the status quo is, eat as much as you can to get big. So a lot of carbs, and obviously I ballooned up, gained a lot of strength, but, I didn't feel too good. So I kind of went down that road for a while. And then I discovered powerlifting when I was about 30. Just a friend of mine at the gym just seen me training and just noticed I was getting pretty strong on some of those lifts on the squat, bench, and deadlift. And he said I should go try and compete. So 16, I did my first meet, and I took first place at a regional meet. So then I was hooked. At that time, I think I was competing in the 242 class. Then I kept bulking up more, and then eventually got up to the 275. Did a provincial meet in 2018 and took second place there. Then I went on a bit of a hiatus, and of course COVID came. Couldn't really do any competing for a while. So once I was finally able to compete again, I did nationals. By this time, this was 2021, and I was a master then, so I was 40. So I competed in both the Masters and the Open. I took first place in both, and so then I was up to the 275 pound weight class. So feeling pretty lethargic and tired. I was strong, but I didn't feel good in other areas of my life. So I kind of decided then I would cut down to the next weight class, to the 242, and I did that on a ketogenic diet, and it worked really well for me. I dropped the weight really quick. I found my energy came back, inflammation went down, my mood improved. Just, everything just felt better. And I just had more intensity in the gym to train. then last year, 2022, I competed in provincials and nationals again, and I took first place in both in my age and weight class. So I should also mention in 2021, when I competed in the 275, I took the world records in the IPL for the squat, bench, deadlift, and the total. And then when I did the 242 nationals last year, I took the world record squat and total. I didn't quite have the bench and the deadlift at the time, which I was still up to about almost 260 at that time, cutting down to 242. So, those water cuts are kind of hard on your performance. So after that, I kind of took the approach that I'm going to get leaner and stay like below my weight class. So it's just kind of the path I'm on now. And I started on the keto diet again. But this time, after about a month in, I just decided I'm just going to try to go straight carnivore because, I've been hearing about it, following your work. And, I hear Joe Rogan talking about it, and I've seen your podcast there. And yeah, everything just got way better. Like the weight's falling off me. My strength is through the roof. I'm setting all kinds of PRs at, a lower body weight than I was competing at. So it's just been really beneficial. And all the inflammation, like after nationals last year, I had some really bad hip issues, inflammation. My knees were always flaring up with inflammation and tendonitis and other joint pain. All that just disappeared. And then sleeping better through the night, just cognitive boost, better mood, just better sense of well-being. So yeah, I'm kind of continuing with the diet right now, and I'll be preparing for Worlds this year, which are going to be in Victoria, Canada.
Interesting. So just to recap, so you went from, you got interested in powerlifting, eat a bunch of carbs, swelled up, got to 275s, was doing well. And then for some reason you said, I'm going to do keto for a while, was able to drop some of the weight, still progress. And now you're on carnivore and you feel like that has given you, I guess, the best performance so far. Is that fair to say? Or, as far as strength to weight and all that type of stuff, your numbers are the best they've been?
Yeah, I would say the best performance I've experienced is on carnivore, mainly because I don't feel so lethargic and my motivation is really high. So when I was at a heavier weight, I just didn't have the energy. And, sometimes I had to force myself into the gym, but now I feel eager again. And like that passion's kind of coming back.
Yeah.
Just the intensity. So like just the energy I have in the gym is really carrying me through and hitting these, these PRs that I haven't hit before.
Well, let's put some numbers up. So what, you're at either 245 or 275. What kind of numbers were you hitting in those different weight classes?
Yeah. So the 275, the IPL world records, I set the squat at 717, bench at 465, and the deadlift at 717. And I think the total was 1885 or something like that.
Yeah, nice. Those are nice numbers. Yeah, from my perspective, I was never much of a bench presser. I just had these freaking long arms. I think the best I ever hit was a 400-pound bench, and I pulled 772, and then my squat was only like 640. But those are definitely strong for sure. And like a 242 is a tough class. 220, 242. You start to get some. When you get into the super heavyweights, there's big numbers, but there seems to be less guys, at those, anywhere from 181 to 242 is where all the most people compete because there's more people there, I think. So it's a challenging class. So where do you think you're going to hit at 242 now, as carnivore? Well, you said you're hitting some PRs. What are you projecting?
Well, I did compete in the 242 nationals in 2022. Mm-hmm. And I hit a 750 squat to take the world record, which is more than I lift at 275. So, that's pretty good. It seems like when I drop weight, my bench suffers the most. My arms are pretty long too. I'm more built for deadlifting. Short, stocky legs. So I'm good at squatting too, but my bench has always been a struggle. Yeah. 242. So yeah, like I said, I hit the 750 squat. My bench wasn't quite there. I think it was like 450-ish. Or it might even been 425. And the deadlift, this is when I did that aggressive water cut. So I didn't have any gas left at the end of the meet. And I was only able to put up, I think it was 665, which is like, I pulled 725 at 232 in the gym in the past. So I shouldn't have had any problem making that. But my goals for Worlds at the 242 are to get all four of those records in the 242. So get the the bench and the squat as well, or the deadlift as well. Sorry. And even chipped my squat record and the total as well.
So you'll squat over 750. You'll bench high fours, mid to high fours, and pull.
Yeah, the world record bench for the IPL 242 master is 200 kilo or 220 kilo. Sorry,
so 440. Okay,
so
yeah,
485. Yeah, 220 kilo, 485.
Oh yeah, sorry, 485 bench, yeah. and then your deadlift is.
The deadlift was 327 kilo. So what's that? That's 730, somewhere 735.
Yeah, I know 350 is 772. That's what I end up hitting.
Yeah.
And what's the IPL? I'm familiar with the IPF, and I haven't been in powerlifting in years. I know there's been a lot of different federations. What's the story on the IPL? International Powerlifters League or something like that, I imagine.
Yeah, it's International Powerlifting League. And I competed in the IPF as well that was my first few meets. Mm-hmm. And then I just started doing some IPL meets just because they're more accessible in my area. And I just found the meets ran better. And, and the people that I train with to compete there. So I honestly, I don't know a lot about the history, but it's a pretty big league. I mean, if you look at some of the world records, you see names like Andrei Malenchev, Yuri Belkin, Larry Wheels, and Stan Efferding. I don't know, but no, I don't think Stan was on there. But yeah, just a bunch of big names that compete in that league.
You said you want to try to maintain a leaner body mass while training, so you don't have to have this aggressive, 15, 20 pound cut going into the meet. How is the diet supporting that? Do you find like it's pretty easy to maintain leanness, basically? And I assume you're just eating a bunch of steak and eggs or something along those lines.
Basically, since January 1st, all I've eaten is steak and eggs. A little bit of cheese. My post-workout shake is like a bunch of raw eggs with protein powder and heavy cream. So I'm supplementing a little bit with some other animal products, but I'd say the bulk, like for me, I feel most intense and powerful, I guess, is when I eat the steak. So I always eat a large portion of steak in the morning, first thing. And that's kind of like my pre-workout.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would say, well, without the carbohydrates in there, you're not going to have any sort of energy, or you're not going to be able to, really get aggressive with it. Are you finding that at all to be the case? Or are you doing just fine without it?
No, like I said, I haven't had, obviously Christmas, I splurged a little bit, had some carbs, but then starting January 1st, so what are we, 19 days in now, without any carbs. I just hit a deadlift PR yesterday, actually, 605 pounds for 9 reps. And I still had some left in the tank. I just took the PR.
Okay. Yeah, I think I saw that. I think I saw your video on that on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice pull. Yeah. And how old are you now, by the way?
I'll be 42 in March.
42. Okay. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah. I mean, it's, I'm, similarly, I'm 56 now, and I was, I pulled 405 for 20 very easily. It's, and that's something that I'll see where I'm at. I know I'm stronger now at 56 than I was at 46. And I'd kind of gone away from powerlifting by about, I think the last meet I did, I was something like my early 40s. And then I kind of got less interested in doing the 1 rep max stuff and started training for different sports. But it is interesting. You can continue to get stronger, and I can imagine you'll probably, you've only been powerlifting for, not even a decade now. So you've probably got another, 10 years of getting stronger, I would imagine, probably even up into your 50s, which is pretty exciting to see. So what do you weigh right now? So you're somewhere just under 240 right now?
No, not quite. So I was starting at about 258, 260 about, 3-4 months ago. I'm currently down to 245.
245. So it'll be very super easy to make weight for the 242s. I mean, when is the Nationals? You said it's in Victoria?
Actually, Worlds are in Victoria, but they're not typically till October, November.
Oh, okay. So you got a ways for that. Yeah.
I got a ways to go. So a lot of time to prep, but Nationals are in July, and I'm kind of on the fence on whether I want to do them or not, because part of me wants to save it all for Worlds, but they're kind of close together. July to November. It's not a super long prep, but it's doable.
And what is your? Is there a particular training system you're using to peak for these things? Is there any kind of there's all different schemes, I know, but what are you currently pursuing?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried it all, Shawn, all the different kinds of periodization and block programs and undulating periodization. And I found as I get older, I had to like tweak my own programming a lot more just to get around like, tendonitis issues. I can't do a lot of volume on back squat. I got to do a lot of different variations, I find. I'd say what I'm doing now is probably more in line with West Side barbell principles.
Mm-hmm.
Where I do like a different variation of the lift each week. And I usually go for either some kind of 1 or 2 rep max, or I'll go for some kind of rep PR, and I'll switch it up. And I go by feel, very intuitive, how I feel on the day. If I don't feel super energetic, obviously I won't go for a rep PR, but I might go for a heavy max or something like that. So I'd say it's very, I adjust it on the fly. It's not a very rigid program. And I just make the adjustments as I go.
And how about your diet? I mean, how much I guess now only a couple of weeks on carnivore now, so it's relatively early, but how much you eating to support what you're doing?
Yeah. And like I said, I did do carnivore for 2 months before Christmas. And so I did 2 months stretch there. And then obviously Christmas, I just cheated a bit, and then now I'm back on the wagon. But for food intake, I'd say I eat about a pound of steak for breakfast with 3 eggs. Then that usually keeps me pretty satiated for a good chunk of the day in the morning. Maybe the afternoon, about 2:00, I'll have a bit of a snack, just some, pepperoni sticks and some cheese or something. Then I go to the gym around 4. And then after the gym, I'll have my evening meal. I'll have my post-workout shake with about 4 eggs, 2 scoops of whey protein, and a cup of heavy cream. And then my last meal will be another pound of steak with some eggs. I don't count calories or anything, but I just eat till I'm full, and it's been working. I just go by the scale in the mirror, and as long as I keep getting results, and my energy and my strength is good, so I'm pretty happy with the way it's going so far.
Yeah. What about? I mean, I guess I'm assuming with handling those types of weights, you typically have to have a spotter or a training partner with you. Are they noticing differences in your performance? I mean, because you mentioned tendonitis, and that's one thing that I found by going low carb and then certainly carnivore is that I just had less of that. And when I have less tendonitis, I can train harder. I mean, it's just as simple as that. After a certain age, if you can't train because your knee hurts, you're just not going to train, and you're not going to get the results. And when your knees stop hurting, you train more and you get better results. Or are you finding something similar to that happening?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I haven't had tendonitis issues in quite a while now. It's gone away. Partly attributed just to my programming and just working around it, but also the diet for sure. Like I always have issues with my knees flaring up as well. They get inflamed, and just my whole body, like when I'm high carb, so inflamed that it reduces your mobility. You can't get in proper positions for the lifts. You're more impeded. It takes you a lot longer to warm up and get in the groove for the lift. And I'm just finding, with the no carbs, my inflammation's gone. I'm way more limber. Like it doesn't take me nearly as long to warm up, and the intensity's there. I mostly train solo. I just use the safeties and stuff, and I don't usually train to failure. So I usually keep the weights reasonable.
Yeah, you leaving like one or 2 reps in the tank typically. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, like an RPE 8 or 9. Yeah. A deadlift, obviously, I'll push that a bit harder because you can just let go of the bars. Squat's a bit different.
Yeah.
Even the bench, you can set up the pins so that when you're arched, you can touch your chest and still have the pins catch it. So you can push yourself in the bench. I guess the squat's the only one where I'm a bit reserved or hesitant to really push that in the gym on your own.
Yeah, I'm sure you're familiar with Ed Cohn, and I talking with him about, he would say just kind of leave a rep in there is what he would do, and kind of makes sense from an injury avoidance perspective. Because obviously squatting to failure is a recipe for disaster. You don't want to fail with 500 pounds on your back, and that's a problem. But yeah, I agree with deadlifts. You just let go of the bar when you're done, and you can go pretty far on that one there. But correct me if I'm wrong, but you're pulling conventional, not sumo. Is that? Do I remember seeing that? I can't remember.
Yeah, that's right. I'm all conventional.
Yeah. Okay. Good for you. Not cheating.
Yeah, the real deadlift.
Yeah. Well, I know there's some people that will criticize sumo pullers, and I think I think I saw a recent analysis that it doesn't make that much difference, but it seems like it might, but shortens your range of motion for sure. You said, so you don't have as much inflammation without the carbohydrates. Did you find, Now having done both, lots of carbs, then ketogenic, which is minimal carbs, and now carnivore, which is very little to potentially none. Did that make much of a difference for her? Was there an advantage to using carbohydrates?
And at the time when I was eating the carbs, I thought they were an advantage. That was just kind of the mindset I had. And the literature I've been reading was just kind of drilled into you for powerlifting, particularly, eat past your sticking points. I would say, like, if you hit a plateau, it's because you're not eating enough. And like, in order to get the calories, it was a lot easier to carb up rather than, it's pretty hard to eat 6,000 calories a steak. I mean, you'd wear your jaw out. So, you do it, a lot of drinks and sugary stuff. Like I didn't eat that clean either back. But yeah, now that I've had a real good run with carnivore, I would say the carbs were hindering me. It bloated me, made me lethargic. My sleep quality was less. My mood was less. I think the intensity I get from steak and carnivore is definitely an advantage.
Yeah, I've had no effort. I have had no issues whatsoever getting motivated and switching the intensity on pure meat. I mean, I feel great and I can pull hard, and I would argue as good as I could. Now, I think maybe when you're on a carbohydrate based diet, then you need more of them to perform more. I think you just kind of relying on that, and then once you get off that, you just don't need it anymore. I think it's kind of like I think your body adapts to what you're utilizing as a fuel. And if you're adapted to carbs, then you need carbs and you need more of them to push that level up. It's one of those types of things. I guess maybe family, people around you, has anybody said, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? What's going on with this carnivore stuff? Are you trying to kill yourself? Are you crazy? Or what's been the support you're receiving?"
I get mixed reception on it. Like my family obviously noticed how lean I am and how good I look, and they're really impressed. So obviously, even my energy levels and my mood, it's a noticeable difference. On social media, yeah, I get everything from people that are supportive to people asking me if I ever poop. No fiber, right? So. Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. Most people are open to it. I think the paradigm's shifting in the nutrition world, where people aren't as dogmatic anymore. But obviously, this particularly older generations where they had this drilled into them, like saturated fat's going to kill you. But yeah, sugar's fine. The lobbyists in the '60s and stuff, all the propaganda.
Yeah, there's and maybe you're familiar. I don't know if you're familiar with this fellow. There's another Canadian guy that was into powerlifting and quite well. And I think he was a multi-time Canadian national champion, record holder. I think his name was, I want to say it was Diego Santachi or something along those lines. And he was on carnivore for a long time and hitting huge numbers. I mean, he was a guy that was, I want to say he was like a 181 guy, and he was pulling, he's deadlifting, close to 700 pounds at that weight class, high sixes on carnivore, doing really well. So I know, and I've seen a number of people now that I've been doing this that have succeeded and excelled, by just consuming a bunch of meat. Do you, as far as your training goes, I mean, you said, West Side, and you're doing a lot of different, accessory exercise. I know West Side's very big on the different, max effort days and speed days and the different, variations of the lifts. I guess they train it for a couple of weeks and then they change something else. Are you doing a lot of stuff outside of just the power lifts, the classic power lifts? Are you doing any other kind of like cardio or conditioning or HIIT training, or how does your approach go?
Yeah, for sure. So it's similar to West Side. Like I'll come in and I'll hit a max, and then I'll drop the weight. I'll take a percentage of that max and I'll drop it down and I'll do some rep work. And then I'll finish off at even lighter with a little bit of speed. So I'm kind of incorporating it all, and I'll train. I typically split up my lifts throughout the week. So like Sunday would be bench and accessories. Monday, squat and accessories. Tuesday off. Wednesday, shoulders and accessories, and then Thursday would be the deadlift accessories. So yeah, like I do a lot of accessory work, mostly to hit weak points. I do switch them up quite a bit. Like every 3 weeks, I'll basically hit that accessory until it plateaus, and then I'll switch to a new one. So very similar to West Side in that regard. Yeah, mostly around wherever I feel I'm weak at the time, where what needs the most work. And then, I do a little bit of HIIT. I don't do a lot of steady state cardio. I find I get more bang for my buck with 20 minutes of high intensity. So like jumping rope, like really, really intense intervals with jumping rope. I got some boxing gear in my basement, so I'll hit the bag really intensely for, a minute on, minute off. So more or less high intensity interval training for my cardio.
And if you were to sort of figure out how much time do you spend a week in a gym, I assume it's pretty much close to 6 days a week or something like that. I would imagine somewhere in that neighborhood. How much time in the week are you committing to this training?
Yeah, my only weight training 4 days a week. So the days that I mentioned there, I'm in the gym for an hour and a half.
Okay.
Typically, squat and deadlift days can run a bit longer, so close to 2 hours sometimes. But us powerlifters like to rest. So yeah, I would say 8 hours a week in the gym.
So that's not a tremendous amount. I mean, by any stretch. I mean, and then.
No.
And then, so what do you do outside of training? Do you have a full-time career or something else?
Yeah, I got a full-time career. I'm a power engineer. I manage some natural gas processing facilities in the area here. Pretty gravy job. I'm in office, mostly in the office on a computer. And so my job's not very physical. Recreationally, I do a lot of hiking and outdoor stuff in the area, hunting, fishing. So yeah, I'm a pretty active person outside of the gym as well.
Yeah, it seems like I've actually done a lot of consultation with people in Alberta. A lot of them seem to be part of the energy industry. I guess they have a pretty big. Is that fair to say? I think particularly northern Alberta, it seems like there's a lot of oil and things like that. And of course, obviously, there's a lot of ranching. Alberta is a huge province. In Canada, I think it was in like Alberta, Manitoba, maybe Saskatchewan, are huge places for producing food. Is that correct?
Yeah, the prairie provinces is what they call them. So you're Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. A lot of ranching, a lot of agriculture going on. Alberta's main industry is oil and gas. It's basically I call Alberta like the Texas of Canada. It's kind of same ideology and politics and stuff. More conservative generally. Yeah, so that's fair to say. We're very big on oil and gas here. A lot of people have those careers.
Yeah, a lot of and. No problem accessing. I mean, how hard is it for you to consume a carnivore diet? Is it difficult finding meat, or is it pretty easy to do?
Oh, it's so easy here. Like Alberta beef is some of the best in the world. I mean, there's ranchers all around. I can go buy grass-fed beef. I could buy a whole cow, put it in the freezer. I'll go hunting in the winter. You can take down an animal, some elk or some deer. So that helps. But even the grocery store, the quality of the meat is very good, even around here. So it's not very expensive either. So it's very accessible for my neck of the woods.
Yeah. And you said you don't track calories or just eat till full. Any idea how much protein you're consuming today, weighing, 250-ish? How much protein are you putting down a day?
Geez, what's a pound of steak? Pound of sirloin, like
it's about 100
ribeye?
That's about 100 grams. I'd say that's about 100 grams.
100 grams?
Yeah.
300. I'm going to say like close to 400 grams or more.
Yeah. That's not dissimilar to what I do. I mean, I 300 is pretty much an average. And then if I eat a lot, it's, I'm going to get 400 grams a day, which seems like a lot. But when you weigh 250 pounds and you're training hard, it's not that much. I think it's pretty typical for most guys that do what you do. You mentioned, your ability to recover. Are you having any trouble at all? Like you train really hard. Are you able to the next week just get right after it, particularly now that you've been doing carnivore?
Yeah, my recovery is really good, actually, now that you mentioned that. But typically when I do squats and deadlifts, I'd have lower back pain and like a lot of issues there, but I still get it a little bit. Obviously, when you're lifting that kind of weight, you can't expect to walk out of that unscathed, but it heals a lot quicker. So like, where it used to take 3 or 4 days to recover from a squat workout, I'm feeling like 2 or 3 days now. I'm pretty much there.
Yeah. As far as, like I said, what happens when you kind of redline things, when you're pushing your body to grow and achieve, you've got to train very hard. And sometimes you get hurt doing that. Just like ripping calluses off your hand and stuff like that. I noticed like, I did on my birthday, I decided I was going to pull 405 for 56 singles, just something fun. And then I ended up doing 60 because it was easy. But I ripped on rep 40, I was doing hook grip. And so on rep 40, I ripped a callus and, I had blood all over the place. But I mean, it was like within a week that was completely healed. I mean, it was completely like healed up, like there's new skin there. And Are you finding healing on? I don't know if you ever injure yourself. Are you finding that heals quicker?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, even when I did squats there on Sunday, I was doing SSB squats, the chambered bar,
Yeah,
and it tweaked my shoulder pretty good. And like normally that the amount of pain I was feeling the next day, that would lay me up for the rest of the week. Like I'd be having issues with it, and it was gone. It was gone the next day after that. So I'm finding the normally these little tweaks and pains I get are healing a lot quicker. The regeneration's a lot better.
yeah. Some people would say, well, you're not, with what you're consuming, eggs, a little bit of dairy, a little cream, beef. There's no fiber in that diet, so obviously you have to be chronically constipated. And you haven't had a bowel movement since January 1st. Is that correct or no?
No, that's definitely not correct. I would say the bowel movements are a lot smaller, but they're very frequent. They're daily, typically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess you don't have as much fiber and junk in there to get rid of. So
yeah, you just don't have as much waste product, and I guess you don't get the joy of having giant bowel movements, which I don't know how much of a joy that is, but that improves.
You don't have to take the newspaper in the washroom with you anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you find how's your app? You said you eat to full. What's your appetite like? I mean, can you contrast your sort of appetite regulation on carnivore or even keto versus back in the high carb days? Is there a difference in how hungry you are?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, when I was going high carb, just those constant insulin spikes you'd have a big spike and then you'd crash. I could barely stay awake for the morning after I eat breakfast. I'd be tired again. I had to have a nap before lunch. But yeah, but then just the cravings, like it's almost like you feed that gut bacteria all these carbs and they multiply, and then they trigger more cravings for that food, right? So I found once I switched to carnivore, I don't have any cravings for carbs. My appetite's pretty good. I'm not typically hungry first thing in the morning, so I kind of naturally intermittent fast. So I don't really eat till about 10 o'clock would be my first meal. And then 7 o'clock would be my last big meal. Yeah, so I kind of eat in that window. So, and not that I'm purposely trying to do that. I'm just eating when I'm hungry. So usually I really don't feel like I'm really hungry till about 10. So that's when I have my first big meal.
We've talked a little bit about quite a bit about athletic performance and strength and recovery, and it sounds like it's pretty much kind of win-win across the board. What about other things that you might have noticed since maybe incorporating carnivore? Any like improvements in work performance, cognitive performance, skin health? I don't know, anything you've noticed that's improved digestive health? Anything improved so far for you?
Yeah, all the above. The digestive health for sure. I don't have the bloating, don't have the uneasiness in the stomach. My skin has improved. Cognition, I've noticed even at work. That's not even, not being tired and lethargic in the morning after you eat a big carb-filled breakfast. So my energy is more, I would say, sustained. It's more even. I don't get those ups and downs. Cognitive, my blood works better, testosterone's higher. No indications of any, like my last blood work was in end of December there, and it was the best it's been since I typically get blood work twice a year. So it's really good. Libido, everything. It's all better.
Yeah, because I'll see people out there saying that, without carbohydrates, your testosterone tanks and you can't perform. And that's not been your experience, clearly. I mean, it sounds like it's the opposite from what I'm hearing, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what the blood work is indicated as well.
Yeah. And as far as, like I said, if you're able to, and you're hitting PRs and you're already pulling, the national records and perhaps going to break world records without carbohydrates, that sort of flies in the face of what a lot of people will assume. They'll say, well, you can't get big and strong without eating a bunch of carbs. Clearly, that's not the case in your experience, correct?
That is absolutely correct. Yeah, like I said, I'm still crushing PRs without any carbs. So I think the anecdotal evidence is there.
Yeah, and I think some of the scientific evidence is there too. I mean, there's a number of studies now that show you can not only gain muscle, you can not only perform well, carbs or fat. It doesn't matter. It's as long as you get to put the training in and put your get adequate protein, and then I think the benefits that you're seeing and what I saw is just less inflammation, less pain, better recovery, which ultimately will lead to, for many people, better better performance, when you stack those training sessions up time and time again, you're able to hit the intensity without the pain. It works really, really well. Do you have, I know, like I said, I think, I've seen your Instagram page, and I know you mentioned Carnivore in there, and you're obviously, you're showing the receipts, you're putting up the numbers. Are you getting anybody that's been critical of that particular aspect of it, or has it been pretty much supportive?
I would say mostly supportive. Like I said, you get the odd kind of smart aleck comment about, not being able to poop, or I haven't been attacked by any vegans or anything yet, so that's good. Consider that a win.
That'll probably change.
Yeah, maybe after this podcast, I'll get a little more, more viewers. I don't know.
You know what? I honestly, it's funny for me because when they come on my social media to attack or whatever, spend their time there, I'm like, good, because you're not doing any damage. You're not actually influencing people that actually would. Go hang out on 12-year-old girls' page if you wanna influence people, because I'm not influenceable in that regard with the nonsense they're putting out. They put up pictures of cute pigs or whatever they're going to put on there. It doesn't matter. I mean, I understand. I realize that I'm eating an animal. I realize that. I know that. It's not like it's a surprise to me. Do you see yourself going back up to 275s? I mean, are you putting on muscle? Could you conceivably, if you're weighing in around 235 lean or something like 240 lean, do you feel like you could put on another 10, 15 pounds and even go higher? Do you want to do that? Is that something you want to do?
I really do like the kind of the weight I'm at now. I feel like I'm able to do a lot of the other things I enjoy, like hiking, just the energy, my cardio's improved. Like, I'm only like just under 6 feet, like 5'11" and a half or something. Yeah. So I'm not super tall. So, I got a big frame, even I'm carrying around quite a bit of muscle already. So to put on another 10, 15, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it'd probably be hard.
Yeah, I know. I'm 6'5", so I can easily carry, 250 plus. It's not hard for me. But when I was pushing close to 300 back when I was competing and stuff and doing the powerlifting and the Highland Games, it's uncomfortable. There's a point where, there's a threshold. Like right now, I think for me, 250 to 275 is all I need. I mean, that's plenty. And, and particularly if you can maintain it lean, it's tough to be lean and big and strong. I heard some people said you can either look big with a shirt or without a shirt, particularly as a natural type of athlete, you don't get both, but you can kind of approximate it. You didn't mention if you had family or anything like that. Is anybody around you eating in a similar style? Are you, I don't know what your personal home situation is.
Yeah, well, I'm mostly a bachelor. I do have 2 daughters that come visit on the weekends, kind of deal. When they're with me, we all eat the same. Like they love steak, and like any of the game, we go hunting, we'll shoot some grouse, and they just love eating all that stuff. So they very much the same as I do when they're here.
Yeah, my daughters, particularly my youngest daughter, she can't get enough steak. Every time I cook, she's like, "Give me that." Yeah, she always points to the ribeye and always takes the rib cap from me, and I'm like, "Okay, I better cook you your own." So, it's kind of good to see that it keeps them sane. Are you seeing? I know, like, it's interesting within Canada. It's been interesting to watch how Canadian politics and things have happened over the last years, and I know I know Trudeau has authorized, funded the largest cricket manufacturing plant, I think in Ontario somewhere. And there's, push for the Canadian Food Guide, whatever, the food igloo or food, whatever they call it, they're pushing for a very plant-based diet. Are you seeing much pushback on that, or is Alberta pretty much, we're not doing that stuff?
Yeah, I would say Alberta, like I said, it's the Texas of the North. We're very much conservative in general. A lot of people aren't having any of that stuff, like crickets. Like, come on, really? It's ludicrous. And honestly, I'm kind of embarrassed that our prime minister is pushing agendas like this, to be honest. There is definitely pushback in Alberta, even with the gun laws and gun grabs and stuff that they're doing. Like, we're kind of more sovereign in that regard here. Yeah,
it's interesting, and I don't fully understand how the political system works, but I mean, it's like he doesn't have a majority like vote. It's like a small minority, like it was like 28% of the vote or something like that, and I'm not sure how it works there, but it seems like there's a pretty big pushback, and there's different, the way the system works there. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's kind of the system set up that the eastern provinces like Ontario and Quebec, they have way more seats than like Alberta and the prairies. So
Yeah.
typically they decide the election, right? Even if it is in the minority, it's really hard for to get anyone through that they don't support. So
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It seems like all the urban places, you know, even the U.S. I mean, because you know, if you look at the sort of what the vast majority, you know, geographically want versus a few cities, you know, aggregated along the coastal areas, and I think the same thing because you've got, you know, obviously I think probably Vancouver and Toronto and Montreal or Montreal, like they say in Quebec, would sort of dictate sort of things like that. You know, you've been doing this sort of carnivore diet. Have you found any significant negatives? I always ask people if they've had any negative things like headaches or dehydration or sleep issues or GI issues. Any negatives so far that you've been doing this?
no, like I think maybe like the first 3 days to 4 days when I started the diet, I did get a little minor headache, you know, a little bit of gastrointestinal issues just with, you know, very, I guess, diarrhea for lack of a better word for about 3 or 4 days. I know Joe Rogan infamously explained his issues with it too. I think he had it for 2 weeks, but no, for me, after the first week, I was in it, like I was in ketosis, and I think my body's really primed for this type of diet. I don't know if there's a genetic component there, but I just thrive on fat and protein.
You know, I guess I'm sure you converse either online or in real life with other guys doing powerlifting. Any other folks sort of adopting either a low carb, ketogenic, or carnivore approach that you're familiar with?
No, none that I'm familiar with. I think most of them eat the standard rice and beef, ground beef kind of deal. There's like quite a bit of carbs still. Yeah, not to my knowledge. No one in my circle that I know of is eating carnivore, but maybe that'll change.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's this guy, I think it's Diego Santachi, who's a Canadian guy, but I think he's an IPF guy, so you may not run across him, but I believe he was doing that or still doing it. I think he had some issues with thyroid, and that's one of the reasons he started that. What was it that compelled you? I mean, I guess you mentioned you'd seen maybe my appearance on Rogan, but was there something that was like, hey, I want to try this? What compelled you to actually want to try this?
Just a combination of curiosity. And I've always been big into anthropology, archaeology, evolution. So I've done a lot of research and reading on those topics. And, you know, I tend to think of things in terms of evolutionary terms. And, you know, what do we evolve to eat? What are we primed in? Like, you look at the fossil records and stuff. And, you know, for hunter-gatherers, they're very physically robust, healthy individuals, no teeth decay. And then along comes agricultural revolution, and then people are eating grain. And then you see like teeth decay and, you know, fake teeth and everything, less physically robust. You know, I'd never seen a cave painting of a piece of broccoli. So, you know, there's a reason why our ancestors risked life and limb to get this meat, is because it helped them survive, and it was the best diet for them. So
I mean,
that's kind of how I've been thinking about it.
I mean, particularly, living in Alberta in Canada, it gets pretty cold, and it's you know, if you look around what's there to eat right now, particularly in January, if you had to go out and forage for food, you wouldn't get a lot of calories that weren't from an animal, I would assume. I guess you can make some pine needle bark or something like that, pine needle tea or something like that. But there's no berries floating around there right now. I mean, they're all done. I mean, it's you know, you can get some fish, and probably you could hunt some kind of, you know, ruminant animal, I would assume. I mean, is that fair to say where you live? I mean, there's no bananas and mangoes and stuff like that growing outside right now, is there?
No, our winters are so long. I mean, the sun literally just came up. It's 10 o'clock. We started this podcast at 10 o'clock. It was still pretty dark at 9:30. Like in the middle of winter, we might get 8 hours of sunlight, and it's not good quality. So there's definitely nothing growing. We're all snow covered and ice covered, you know, minus 40, minus 50 degrees centigrade. There's nothing growing for 8 months of the year. You're either eating an animal or you're not going to live. I suspect, like, prior to 12,000 years ago, during the Ice Age, most people on the planet were under similar circumstances.
Definitely the ice sheets were definitely farther south, and you know, it affected larger swaths of the planet. And so I think most of the habitable Earth was probably similar to what Canada looks like now, you know, and there would have been pockets of some warmth, but for the most majority of humans, during our Homo sapien period of time, 200, 300,000 years, we were dealing with ice age. And it's interesting that how you would have to eat to survive for sure. You said you might be doing nationals. You're not sure. You're definitely doing worlds. What are some of the benchmarks you're looking at doing for the next, are you going to run like several mini cycles of training cycles over the next, because, October, so you've got basically 9 months left. Are you going to have like little goals you're going to try to hit along the way?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, my training's kind of adjusted on the fly. I'm going to keep going with the diet. Right now, I'm still cutting fat. I honestly think I've built some muscle too. I'm seeing a bit more size and definition.
Well, and, plus if you're getting stronger, you're building muscle. I mean, that's pretty clear, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So like this is the leanest 245 I've ever been. Like I've been 245 before, but not this lean. So I definitely have more muscle. Like I said, my strength is still going up. My training is going well. So I'm not going to adjust anything right now. I'm just going to keep going with the type of periodization I'm doing and setting mini goals along the way and still trying to hit PRs here and there.
When's the next time you're looking at hitting singles? Like, are you going to have like a single you're going to hit here in the near future in any of the lifts?
Yeah. So it'll be coming up soon. I just did some rep PRs this week. I'm going to go for a heavy squat double on Sunday. So I'd say in the next 3 to 4 weeks, I'll try to put up some big singles and go for some PRs. So both body weight rep PRs, I guess you'll say.
And remind me, what is your social media? Like, I don't know what you're on. I know you're on Instagram. What do you go by so we can follow you?
Yeah. So on Facebook, it's just Jason Campbell, Rocky Mountain House. On Instagram, it's Jason_TCC_. That's my Instagram handle.
Okay, yeah, I got you there. I'm going to find you and follow you there because I've seen your stuff. I just hadn't. Oh no, I already am following you. I guess I've been following you already. I guess I was already
following me.
All right, I couldn't remember. All right, cool. I'll go back and check it out, and I'll look forward to because I just saw that 605/9 PR. I thought that was quite impressive. So, yeah, I'm always. It's nice to see people deadlifting and certainly doing conventional style because that's significant. So, and that was done. You look like you're just wearing a belt, no equipment. And are you competing raw? Or are you competing equipped? I can't remember. I don't know what the IPL does.
I do classic raw, so it's just the same as raw, but on squat you're allowed to wear the knee wrap.
Okay, so basically nothing. Yeah. I mean, basically very little, just a belt, basically.
Yeah, so no suits or nothing, no bench shirts or nothing like that. It's pretty much raw. I just like that. I like the knee wrap because it just gives me a little more comfort, reducing the risk of injuring your knees and stuff. It just feels better.
Yes,
but it really doesn't give you that much of a pop. Maybe 25, 50 pounds.
Yeah, well, I'm just watching you looking very strong. So good for you, man. That's awesome. So I just look, because there's rep calculators you can utilize, and like 605 times 9 is like, what is that like? That's a high 700-pound pull, I think, if I'm not mistaken, based on that. But of course, those are touch and go, so you have to kind of like factor in that and what you could do with a dead stop. But it's still you should be pulling well into the mid 700s by now. Then it looks like with that. I would
I think 750 is probably in the cards pretty soon here.
Yeah, good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'd ultimately like to get up to the 350, 777.
Yeah, that's my PR. And I think honestly, I did that right before I started my surgical residency, where I went to go into getting no sleep ever, and so I kind of effectively shut down my ability to train. So I think I probably could have hit 8, at some point. Because I pulled 772, and then I had 783, like just short of lockout. That was like midnight on one of these ridiculously long meets with 200 athletes, and they had one platform, and you're pulling deadlifts at 11 o'clock at night. And anyway, so that's, oh well, I'm not, and I don't have the interest in me at 56 to go do that stuff again. I'll stay with the lightweight 10 rep stuff for a while. Maybe I'll get excited one day to do that, but good for you, man. That's awesome. So anyway, so we'll check out, see how you're doing. Good luck. Thanks for sharing, because there's a lot of people out there that say, well, you must have carbs, or you can't get strong, or you can't perform, or your testosterone tanks. I'm like, that's not true, because I see it all the time, and you're yet another example of this. So thanks, Jason. Good luck to you, and keep, I'm glad you're out there, you know, at least publicly saying, hey, I'm doing this on Carnivore, because it inspires a lot of people. And honestly, for me, I don't really care about the athletic performance stuff. I'm here about the health. And you know, like, because some people say, well, I would do this, but I don't want to lose my strength. And you're showing that you don't have to do this, and you can get healthier at the same time. So thanks a bunch.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate you having me on the show. It was really good talking to you. And
all right, man. Well, have a great day. Enjoy the little bit of sunlight you have for now. And then obviously during the summertime, you have the opposite thing. You've got 20 hours of sunshine during the day, which is pretty cool, or something like that, or 18 hours. So good for you.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Good. Thanks, everybody. We'll see everybody back tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks. See you, everybody.